episode of BizJet TV, we're going to be looking at the recent crash in Nepal of an AiTR 72 operated by Yeti Airlines. It was coming in to land at Pokhara Airport on a 25-minute flight from Kathmandu. All people on board died, unfortunately. The airplane was coming in to land and it banked left and crashed into the ground, killing everybody. So, looking at the footage, it looks to me it could have been potentially a pilot incapacitation. Unfortunately, pilot incapacitations are quite high on the list these days of crashes, and also lots of incidents and that happening and diversions because of pilot incapacitation. That seems to be high. So that's certainly a possibility. There could have been some problem with the aircraft that caused the airplane to bank that way. We'll find out more now that the black box has been recovered and the air investigation people are on the case. But let's just look at a few facts here about safety in Nepal. Now, the Nepalese aviation has the worst safety record in the world. There's been 350 people died since the year 2000 in air crashes in Nepal. A lot of that's due to the topography, obviously being high up in the mountains. It's tricky going in there. They also tend to operate older aircraft. Now, this aircraft in particular was only 15 years old, so saying that 15-year-old airplane is an old airplane and blaming it on the age of the airplane is wrong. And we have to look at how the maintenance is done on this aircraft and how the pilots have been trained. But it's not just good to have the type rating on the aircraft, which is a necessity, of course. You have to be trained on that particular airfield. Now, I have flown in as a pilot into various airports in the mountains, and I've always been trained to go in there in the simulator. Going into Sion or Aspen, places like that. What you want to do if you're operating your own private jet, and this is a lesson here for private jet people. Now, first of all, 90% of aircraft accidents happen in third world countries. Nepal is a third world country. Here's an accident that's just happened. So if you are going into a third world country, you really want to go in there with your own airplane. Because, the pilots, the airplane, the maintenance and that. But as far as your pilots are concerned, don't say, well, my pilot's a good pilot, we're going to be fine. No. Invest the money to send your pilots over to the simulator to simulate a number of emergencies going in and out that airport, because that will keep you safe. I mean, for example, Aspen is quite a challenging airfield in Colorado, in the United States. Lots of crashes happen there, and they happen in winter, they happen in summer. So what you want your pilots to do is, to fly in and out there in the simulator, simulate a number of emergencies in bad weather, low visibility, ice, rain, snow, you name it. And even in the summer, when the weather's good, you've still got high temperatures there. High temperatures will degrade performance of the aircraft because of the high altitude and that combination of those two. So there could be challenges there. So you want your pilots to sort of go through different scenarios over that airfield in different weather conditions in order to make the flight safe. And that's really, really important. This is where a lot of the crashes happen, is because this training isn't being done. Now, of course, when you jump and you book a flight with an airline, you don't know what type of training the pilots have had. You don't know if the pilots have been well rested, what the rostering system's like, and that. You can't know all these things. But when you operate your own private jet, you know all these things. You know the type of training because you paid for it. You know if your pilots have rested, because they're your pilots. You talk to them and you make sure that they're rested. So I would say, because pilot fatigue is another one that's causing a lot of accidents. So if you're going into these mountainous regions, the lessons to be learned here is, number one, make sure your pilots are trained to fly in and out that airfield. So send them to the simulator, pay the extra money for them to do that. Number two, make sure they're well rested. And number three, make sure your aircraft is well maintained, that there aren't going to be any, surprises going in there, failures, generator failures, engine failures, or whatever failure that could happen. You want to sort of do the preventative maintenance, make sure the maintenance is up to date, so that, when you're operating into these tricky places, that, that the airplane is doing its job properly, that the pilot is rested, the pilot is well trained. And if you do all those things, flying into these airfields at high altitude and in bad weather is not that difficult if the training is done properly. If you've got modern equipment with modern avionics and that, the odds of the accidents happening are very, very remote. But, all these things need to be in play. And that's why, private jet operations can be very dangerous, but private jets can also be the safest way of traveling if operated in the ways that I've just explained. Now, I hope you enjoyed this video on BizJet TV. I encourage you to subscribe to the channel, and also, why not join the channel, become a member of BizJet TV by clicking on the join button, and that gives you access to exclusive content. Also, the other thing here, which you may want to do, is comment and also give me a super thanks if you really enjoyed this video, and check out this other accident investigation thing that I did on this recent accident of a Phenom 100 flying out of Provo Airport. That's an interesting one for you to look at too. That's all from Fabrizio Poli here on BizJet TV, and I'll see you on the next one.